Mulțumim foarte mult pentru prezentare și înainte să dau drumul întrebărilor din sală și să-l invit și pe domnul Paul Milata, am eu o întrebare. Toată experiența care ați acumulat-o în cei 7 ani de școală de acolo, cum o aplicați în România?
Chiar vreau să mă cobor din 3, 1 merge sigur. Da, chiar e un subiect pe care nu știu dacă să-l ating, pentru că chiar nu vreau să o trăvesc atmosfera frumoasă care este aici. Eu am venit în România și am pornit un proiect politic. Deja când am spus cuvântul politic, fețele au căzut în sală. Asta este viața. Din munca aceasta pe care am desfășurat-o în societatea civilă din 2008, fondând Liga Studenților Români în străinătate, luptându-ne ca să aducem cât mai mulți tineri afară să studieze afară, dar și să revină în țară, ne-am dat seama că poți să mergi numai până la un punct din societatea civilă. Din păcate, în stadiul democrației românești actuale, oamenii cu pixul în mână, decidenții noștri, au toată puterea de a schimba lucrurile în țara asta. Și până nu o să-i schimbăm noi pe ei, nimic nu o să se schimbe în profunzime în România. Din păcate, asta e realitatea. Repet, sper că n-am otrăvit atmosfera și ce să zic, asta e.
Atunci n-am să merg mai departe spunând dacă o să vă realizați proiectele politice în România și am să vă întreb așa, utopic, dacă ar fi să vă gândiți la sistemul educațional actual, la experiența pe care o aveți deja din lume, care ar fi primul lucru care l-ați schimba în sistemul educațional din România? Unul singur.
Foarte grea întrebare. Toate întrebările cu spunem un lucru despre ce vrei să faci sau da, sunt foarte grele. Eu aici m-aș referi mai degrabă la învățământul preuniversitar. Cred că am început cu asta, nu? Avem nevoie de o transformare de sistem, avem nevoie să centrăm sistemul pe elev. Cred că sunt profesori dascăli foarte buni în România, dar din păcate au pătruns în sistem și dascăli slab pregătiți. Iar acest sistem de titularizare care încă persistă la noi, suntem una dintre ultimele țări din avansate care au acest sistem de titularizare, blochează sistemul și nu lasă oamenii cu adevărat competenți să fie la catedră sau să avanseze. Eu aș renunța la examenul de titularizare în preuniversitar. Tocmai pentru a blochează oameni tineri competenți care să vină la catedră să predea. Avem profesori titulari de limba engleză, doamnă, care nu știu să zică good morning. Și asta e o mare problemă, pentru că nu pot fi scoși din sistem. Da. Tocmai pentru că sistemul e blocat de profesori slabi care sunt pe poziții și nu pot fi scoși de acolo. Și care au intrat, în general, prin șpăgi. Haideți să spunem lucrurilor pe nume, îmi pare rău. Exact.
Am să vă rog frumos să luăm întrebările pe rând. Am să-l rog și pe domnul Paul Milata să să ni se alăture. Și din nou, domnul Sebastian Burduja mai are doar 1 sau 2 minute. Dacă e cineva care are o întrebare pentru dânsul, mâna sus, ca să pot să vin să-i dau microfonul.
I am physicist. I have a common question. I have an example, and from this example will come the question. In history, in science, in Romania, professor of physics, family Tsitseka, in Russian mathematician Markov, in Switzerland, Bernoulli. They are professor families. How in this assault in United States family, because you can say, it's family, but they are very good. This is the problem, history. Also because in mathematics and in science and probability and statistics is a very dangerous statistic applied in psychology, in every science, because you work with numbers, because the statistics is true on the numbers the events and goes to infinity. There you are sure this is probability. If you have the statistics are great problems because you have the problems in this kind of statistic to make mistakes. How you solve this? I give these 3 examples in history with also in medicine, Gerota and so on. Thank you.
Please,
Okay, so
I don't know if I understand the question, but
the first part of the question was regarding families, and the examples you gave were very good. From my point of view, it's basically confirming what we're saying. When you look at the faculties where corruption is happening, it is not happening in mathematics, it's not happening in engineering, it's not happening so much as in law, medicine, etc. These are the fields where I would focus on. And I have a system which is not foolproof. I mean, these are estimates and are ratings, but you have to have a clear understanding. You have to have a method to measure and compare internationally a phenomenon so that you start to act. And then we come to the second part of your question. If we assume that every statistic is a fake, then probably this building wouldn't stand. So we have to accept the fact that every statistic is an estimate. This is what I tried to do with my presentation. I presented the overall ranking of the countries, and then I presented different ways of interpreting basically the same numbers. And I showed you the way how you can switch between the rankings and how you have to be careful when you start to interpret these numbers. This is what I suggested. I fully agree with your idea that you have to be careful with statistics. This was the reason, however, why I repeated rather boring rankings again and again and again to suggest, look, I'm fully aware that you can take a look differently at these numbers. The numbers are the same.
yeah, I'm not sure I understood the question correctly, but based on relations. So the father is a professor and the son is a professor. It can happen. Look, there's corruption everywhere. I'm not trying to say that America is perfect. Go ahead.
There is a very simple way to do it. If these people are so good, then they are good irrespective of the university. So the problem is not that they are a family of professors. The problem is that there are a family of professors at the same university. If the daughter is that good, then she can pass a clean recruitment process at a different university. And that's it. So you can have...
But even if it's the same university, I trust, look, that it's ridiculous to believe that somebody can be a professor at Harvard or Stanford or Princeton or any of the big schools by cheating. That's not happening. You cannot get in as a student, no matter how much money you have or how much you're willing to cheat. You have to be good. I believe that. I was there. I can testify to that. I will argue with anybody who claims different. It's possible. It's possible.
Dacă mai sunt alte întrebări pentru domnul Burduja?
Cu mult curaj.
Pentru domnul Paul Milata? Nu aveți nicio întrebare despre corupția în mediul academic? Vreau să le aud. Numai un pic. N-aveți întrebări sau n-aveți curajul să le puneți? Nu pot să cred. Nimeni n-are curajul? Maybe. Please. Actually, you will not be recorded without a mic, so it's anonymous, but not that much.
So an impossible question is, how can we stop academic corruption?
As in today, or do you give me a week, or...
Then let's end global poverty.
Yeah. Well, I do think that it's a problem which can be solved. I am also aware that reforms in the education system usually take 8 to 10 years until you see their full fruition. But in the case of academic corruption, you do have certain methods which have been used in other fields, which can be applied. For example, currently what we're doing is we read articles in the media about PhD plagiarism. This is just reacting to the fact. What can be done is to have a systematic, a structured approach. So you measure the phenomenon, and you do what a company would do when they have an issue like that. You do an internal audit. The first thing I would do is, everybody's talking about the system of higher learning. I don't know the system of higher learning. I would like to know the people who are working in the system. I would do an audit of everybody who's working in the system. And I would do an audit the same way I would do what we are calling in headhunting an analysis of informal networks. So what we do sometimes is we go as headhunters into a company, we pretend to be somebody else, and then we're looking at relationships between people. And if the chief accountant is married to the production manager, you might have a problem. I would do the same thing in the system of higher learning. I would basically try to know the people working in the system. I would try to know their backgrounds. I would try to know their relationships. And if you have a system, if you have a situation like at the Faculty of Law in the city of Timișoara here in Romania, where half the people are related to each other, then I think the issue is rather simple.
Altcineva cu curaj?
And what happens to the outcome of all of your reports and so on about the corruption? What do you do with them? You just put them online and
yeah, well, hoping that somebody will read them.
Well, really?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, basically, when we started to do this research, we knew that it's going to be very expensive.
Okay.
It was very expensive. Then we got the results, and we realized that these results are relevant to other people as well. And we started to publish them. And I have to say that I'm not overwhelmed by the number of reactions, to put it mildly. So I did not receive a basket full of letters from different, states.
You were expecting that, right?
No.
Right from the beginning.
No, I was, my hope was that somebody would react to that. But my expectation was very low. And my expectation was actually more correct than my hope.
That seems to me like the community charity or something.
They didn't. No, nobody cared. Nobody cared.
See,
it's just in one word. Nobody cared because, we have to be. The education system is the second largest after health in terms of budget. There is a huge amount of money. There are huge amounts of interests in this field. And the powers that be, the executive level, as was presented by the lecturer after me, are very well entrenched. Working as a professor, for example, can mean a lot of money, and changing the system would mean losing that. We had, for example, a decision in Germany this week limiting the extra amount of money a professor can earn to 25,000 euros per year. This is the extra amount. Because we had professors who earned just a little money, and then they had up to 100, 150,000 euros working for the pharma industry. So this is an issue.
But why don't you link your conclusions and your outcomes of your reports and so on with the public sector, with the public administration? Why don't you come together?
Well, because my first duty is towards my clients, and the public sector has not shown any interest until now. They have not tried to support this study, and they have, I don't exclude that. I don't exclude that. This is the reason why I published the numbers. I think that we have done our work by paying for this study, investing a lot of time in this study, and then the ball is in their field.
Right.
And now we have to see, I'm not going to say no if they're coming to us, but I think they had other things to do.
That's certain.
Dacă mai sunt întrebări?
This time not a question, but a simple observation. The system is so well established that when someone tries to expose a case of academic corruption, they get left aside or they become persona non grata. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's a difficult question because again, the aim of the ACPR, the aim of my survey was to understand the people coming out of university. My aim is not to change the university system. But I do get these questions all the time, so I had to think about them. I would just like to say that the answer I'm giving you is not based on the numbers I presented today. So I think that not acting against corruption will lead to a point of no return. There are certain countries where we have already passed the point of no return, and where what you are saying is always the first symptom. So once people start to talk about this issue, they're out. And we have also how did we observe that? There is already in certain countries a process of negative selection. So smart kids don't go to certain faculties because they know that they have to pay their way through. And one example I would like to give is the Faculty of Law in Kiev, in Ukraine, where basically 80% of students are the sons and daughters of oligarchs or of politicians. Then there are 10 to 15% very smart kids who would like to do something but cannot bribe. And the system of bribing is very easy. There is a taxi cab standing in front of the faculty. You go to the taxi driver. He's actually not a taxi driver. He's the guy who knows the prices. He tells you how much you have to pay. You give him the money, and then you get the mark. And kids from poor families basically get the same marks and know they have no chance afterwards. So I have a number of cases of people who have started these studies, and then they move to more honest fields, like math, like history, like engineering, but certainly out of law. And this, I think, is to answer your question. This is what happens when you don't do it. So it's not really a question, do I do it or don't I do it? You have no choice, because otherwise the system will collapse. And there are cases, there are already states where the system has collapsed. It's over. It's your choice. Again, my last point on that consultant-style sheet, the last one was ACT. This is the reason why.
Și o ultimă întrebare, înainte să închidem această sesiune, dacă mai există? Am înțeles? Avem 2 sau 3 curajoși? Vă mulțumesc tuturor pentru participare. Vă invit în continuare la pauză și mulțumesc domnului Paul Milata pentru răspunsuri și prezentare.